Sometimes things in Rocket League kind of just work. You don't really know the reason, you don't know why, but they do. That's what I'm here to tell you about. Exactly why challenges work. So in order to understand how challenges work, we first have to understand what challenges actually are. In your basic mind, a challenge is you 50 the ball. That's not always the case. A challenge doesn't need to be you're contacting the ball every time. What it has to be is you pressuring or forcing a play from the opponents who have control. That's the base definition of a challenge. That's what we're going to be using that definition in this experimental type video. Throughout this vid, what I did was take a few hours of gameplay, not trying to force anything, and just played. And a few times we were just trying to test examples and stuff, but the main objective was to play as natural as possible and see where challenges work or just don't. Alright, enough yapping about what the vid's about, let's get into it. This first section here is going to be about the what not to do, bad challenges that I found in my own gameplay. But for this clip specifically, we ended up beating one, had a beat, and then tried to overcommit for the second and just ended up in their corner, which is obviously never great. I thought I could shell there since my teammate was back, but that just puts him in a 2v1. It's not an ideal scenario. Here's a similar example, just so you guys really know what I mean. It has a completely different outcome, because obviously we don't end up getting scored a goal from it, but right here, our teammate gets a demo, and we end up just passing the ball to him. We outplayed one, overcommitted, and now we're back in their corner. Never a great play from us, but the problem here is we don't have a buffer. What I mean by that is in map space, when we challenged there, we challenged in their corner. We didn't challenge at midfield, so our teammate had time to react or something. We challenged in their corner while our teammate was rotating back. So it ended up putting more room between me and my teammate and gave the opponents more space on the field to end up, getting a goal or getting a play. And the last two, they were a little bit less straightforward, a little bit less obvious examples of, getting immediately scored on. We obviously did get scored on, but it took a little bit of time. This one, it's a bit more straightforward. Just goes directly into our net. All right, so we start off with a great challenge. We just take the possession, it was free, he handed it to us, why not? This is a first man to last man challenger, that's perfectly fine. And then we do the direct opposite and challenge as last man. The problem there is we have no second layer of defense, so when he clears it, there's nobody there to pick up the ball. Realistically, it's not the best clear in the world. It's not a bad one, but since there's nobody there, it just ends up being a goal directly since there's nobody behind me. So a rule of thumb, or a little like if-then type of statement here is, if you are last man, you should not be challenging unless you are absolutely forced to and your teammate's like never coming back. Alright, so that rule is not going to be foolproof. As you can see right here, technically we're last man and we didn't challenge. We got scored on from it and it's our mistake still. So what we did wrong here is we didn't challenge when we could have. As last man, you don't want to just avoid challenges completely. If you have a free challenge, you should just go for it. There's no reason not to, especially if you're gonna have an advantage in that challenge. But the problem happens when you don't challenge when you do have an advantage and just end up pretty much tipping the scale in their favor when you're just waiting around doing nothing. All right, after some failures in this, you can obviously see we learned quite a bit so far. We're trying to apply it to our best of our ability over time. And when I recorded this, we were trying to apply all the stuff I'm saying right now. So in this clip, what we were trying to do is test how aggressive of a challenge can you be without, overcommitting or doing something. We just blatantly pre-jumped him, but it actually ends up giving us a free possession and almost a goal because they just missed and didn't expect it. And we started seeing a habit or a pattern form when I just ego tout them, essentially just went. It ended up giving us goals and goal opportunities. Something started to change every time I just went, even though there was no real threat. I just kind of went on the ball, forced something from them, constantly pressuring them to do something with it. It just started working, giving us possession, giving us better positions, even goals. But if you're as curious as me, just following what works might get you goals, but it's boring. So I decided to test out what happens if you play passive. You just don't chow. And it worked almost just as well, if not better, in some scenarios. So there's gonna be a fine balance where you want to ego chow, you want to just go. There's gonna be a fine balance between when you just don't need to. There's no point to commit sometimes. Let me explain real quick and show you what I mean. Okay, here we just challenge immediately, and then we chase the ball down and challenge again, and it gets us a goal. Most people will call it ball chasing, and most people will call it brain dead, but it worked. Let's see why. So at the start here, we already noticed our teammate's coming back, and now he's behind us. And this immediate first chow here puts him, PL, in a last man to first man challenge, and it ends up going mid for our teammate. He gets to capitalize since the other guy's teammate wasn't back. So this is an example of it working because we recognized the flaws we've learned from the first part and actually utilized it against the opponents. In this game, there's a lot of moments where thinking can actually hurt how you perform. Sometimes just challenging without actually thinking can be far better than overthinking, hesitating on a challenge, and then, not being able to capitalize on a mistake the opponent's made, or even, not being able to capitalize on a beneficial spot you're in. That's why this channel exists. That's why I'm here. We're here to ask why those things happen, and thus far we've learned quite a lot of flaws, but now we're going to learn about how to actually take those flaws and use them against the opponents. So here's an example for you guys. All right, so here's another example of one of the flaws we've noticed being able to be used against the opponents. So what happens here is they hesitate on a free ball, and we end up just capitalizing and getting a goal off of it. You saw this before, you see it here, but how you can flip the script if you know what to look for, and you know when not to hesitate because they are hesitating. All right, so this is kind of an example of exactly how you can try to force scenarios on the opponents to make their lives harder. What I mean by this is like forcing them to overcommit by not challenging and making them flip into the ball in your corner. That ends up making them overcommit. You're essentially just baiting them into something that's just a bad challenge for them and a good challenge for you. Ends up giving you possession, etc., etc. So what you really want to be looking for is, when you challenge, does it give you an advantage? It can look like bumps, demos, baiting a challenge, baiting a flip, anything like that. But the biggest thing in like my gameplay is when I started implementing these things and just making every challenge beneficial, I just started winning so much more throughout this entire recording. We were on like a losing streak, winning streak, kind of staying where we were up until I made this switch. This is the biggest thing that actually changed how we started winning and just getting goals. At the end of the day though, sometimes you just want to play Rocket League. It's totally fine. If you're genuinely serious and you want to keep learning stuff, but you want a little bit of fun, that's why this channel's here for you. It's here for some of those moments, some of those This Is Rocket League moments, but also those really nice deep dives into why things happen and how they happen. I'm here for you guys to improve and watch me improve along the way. Oh my God, yes. So if you like the content, hit that sub button, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out.